I love it, guys. I love it. People are not drinking enough water because they don't have a good enough water bottle with them. And if they do have a good enough water bottle, their water consumption will 100% increase. The validation that we were looking for from people was like, not that, oh, I love the bottle, it keeps my water cold. We were looking for these words that, guys, my water consumption has increased. I thought that I'm going to move to US, become a doctor and live there. I was around 128 kg. And after I went to the US, I saw people like running around training. They took fitness really seriously. They took their food really seriously. That's when I decided to, give it a shot. I learned how our minds are malleable. The way you're born, the thoughts you're born with, they're given to you. So I managed to change that. I managed to change my mindset. And I managed to lose roughly 50 kgs. And then halfway through, I decided that I don't want to be a doctor anymore. Instead of trying to save lives, what can I do to prevent someone coming into the hospital?
You and I have a very, very similar story. Then I gained a lot of weight and I became 170 kgs.
Yeah, 170 kg is like, you need to like stop whatever you're doing and like get into some like a rehab program where like there's like,
my family is vegetarian. My protein is limited to milk and eggs.
Okay, I'm going to make your life really better. So Hydrobot basically it came by mistake. So what happened was, because I was, into fitness and all that stuff, I didn't really have a car. I used to roam around in a cycle, like, or a bike. So I had to have water all the time. Like, it was a thing that I need my water bottle. And when I was there, I had a flask, a blue color flask, in which the water would stay cold for literally the entire day. Like, the temperature wouldn't change much. And after I got done with US, my chapter closed in US, I came back here and I noticed that everyone in my house, they don't have any personal water bottle. It's like just the crap plastic stuff. Nothing was personal about it. And my brother at the time, my younger brother, he ended up using my bottle a lot. Like, he would take it and like it went from my bedside to his bedside. So I one day like got annoyed. I'm like, listen, this bottle, these kind of thermoses are expensive. So it's a great investment. Make that investment. And he looked around and he couldn't find any that was as attractive and like functional as the one that I had. So 3-4 months passed by, and then him and his friend had an idea, like, they're like, bro, let's start a business together. And then they were like, what should we do? First they thought of like a shoe cleaning company or something like that. And then, well, that didn't turn out to be a good idea. And then they're like, why don't we sell water bottles? And when I heard that, I was like, what are you going to sell? You're going to sell bottles now. So that time in my head, that idea it didn't register. And then, well, I was like, cool, man, go for it. So him and his friend, they ordered samples and they did all the research and where it's manufactured. They did all that homework. It took 6-7 months for the samples to arrive. And then when the samples arrived, I'm like, okay, this is a nice product. It's pretty cool. But I was still not like, completely in it. I was just like, I was just giving my reviews. I'm like, oh yeah, this is a nice color, whatever. And then last moment, his friend backed out. So my brother was pretty upset. Like, he was disappointed. He was scared. He was like, how am I going to do this by myself? So I told him that, listen, you figure out what product you want to sell. I will help you with the Instagram. I'll help you with the marketing. I'll help you with the website, because that's what I know. It's what I've done in the past. So I can help you with that. And obviously there won't be any cost attached to it. It'll be for free. And you're like, cool. And then we went ahead with this design with the booth over here. And when it came, I was like, okay, this is pretty good. It's a pretty good product. So that's how Hydrobot started. And the funny part is, when it came, this is how like I understood that when you have a startup or a business, you need a good mix of like conservativeness, or you have to be a little conservative and you have to be a little modern as well. So like my brother and I, we were thinking along the lines of, oh yeah, Instagram and paid ads, and like, now we have to make our website, then only we can sell it. And my dad overheard us say that, and he's like, "What? You have the products in your hand? Send a photo to your friends and start selling it." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's right." Like, and I literally took the bottle like this, and I clicked a picture for every bottle, literally, and I sent it on like all my group chats, like my friends and everyone. And then they're like, "Wow, what is this?" And they all got interested. And that's how we sold our first Hydrobot, was through WhatsApp. On the same day it arrived. And I feel if my dad hadn't yelled at us, like, because he's like, "What's wrong with you guys? Why are you waiting for your Instagram and website? Just send a picture and send it." I don't know what would have happened, because we would have waited for the website, for the Instagram and all that stuff. But literally that's how it started, from a WhatsApp picture. And then it was like a ripple effect. Like, everyone just found it really attractive the moment they saw it. And the product in itself was so good that people bought it once, twice, thrice, and recommended it. So that's how Hydrobot became Hydrobot.
Let's roll it back. Let's roll it back. Somewhere in the middle, I heard 130 kgs, and then I heard doctor, and then I heard the US, and then like I heard a lot of stuff happen very, very quickly. So let's talk about the 130 kgs first. What was the experience like?
So 130 kgs, it was a gradual weight loss. But definitely I lost the weight first over here. I changed my mindset. Um, and then it started to happen physically. So I had to travel for about 45-50 minutes to get from my college campus, to the gym. So I had a lot of free time on the bus, and I wasn't that big of a fan of music. So like I put on like YouTube, like motivational stuff, and every time these two, three people used to pop up. One was Tony Robbins and one was Jim Rohn. So these two, I would just listen to their gyan, to their wisdom, and it started making sense to me, because they kept saying that um you are what you think about, and what your identity is, that's how you're going to behave. Like, that's what your actions are going to be determined by your identity. And I always growing up, I used to be a cute chubby kid, right? Everyone used to pull my cheek, so that sort of was my identity. And I realized that, holy shit, my identity was cute chubby kid, and I was behaving, and my actions were all supporting that identity. So I decided that I don't want that identity anymore. I wanted to be an athlete. So that's that's what I selected my identity to be like. And my slowly over the years, my actions started to match my identity. And I was the one who used to blame my surroundings. I used to blame my school. I used to blame my house. I used to blame that my country, that there's nothing good here. And like I understood that Jim Rohn used to have this quote. He used to say that um the same wind blows on all of us, but it's the set of your sails that determine where you go. So that really clicked in my head. I'm like, everyone has the same issues, everyone has the same environment, but that does not determine how you turn out to be. So it was just the continuous hammering of all this wisdom for 45 minutes twice a day for like 6, 7, 8 months, is when I finally let go of who I was. And that's how it kept going. I learned a lot from athletes, how to have a high standard, especially from like the top athletes like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. Um, and how, even if I lost 10 kgs, for me, that was nothing. Like, that was like, okay, now we just move on to the next 10 kgs. So like, because of that high standard, I just kept going and going. Otherwise, what would have happened is like you lose 10 kgs, and then, people congratulate you, and they're like, wow, good for you. And you might drown in all that happiness, and, you start to get complacent. So because I had a high standard of things, I didn't let complacency set in. I would just, say thank you with a straight face and move on. it's these little things about my mindset and how the brain works is how I continue, and it's what I do for my work.
Sahil, you've spoken about a lot of different topics here. You've covered like athletes, you've covered mindset, you've covered reactions, you've covered a whole lot of different things. So I'm going to take them one at a time. I think we covered this in our episode with Garima, where we said that the basic USP for all these athletes. You look at the Tiger Woodses, you look at the Michael Jordan, the Kobe Bryant. Why were they at the top of their sports? Because they worked the hardest, and that's I think that's something that we've all realized with time, that the more work you put into it, that's how things come by. It's not something that happens overnight. And there's this very famous Tiger Woods story that John Daly and Tiger Woods were playing some tournament the next morning, and Tiger Woods was out at 7 a.m, doing his putting drills and doing his whole day. He had a whole 6-hour practice session, then he had a gym session, then he had another practice session, and that's how he was preparing for the next day of the tournament. And John Daly, on the other hand, was just drinking beers and smoking and chilling with his friends. And that's why today I think everyone in the world knows a Tiger Woods, whereas a John Daly is only like a cult hero in some golfers' minds. So that's I think we see it every single day, is that hard work beats talent when talent stops working.
Exactly. I had to work my ass off just to get to the gym. It was like cold Michigan winter. I didn't have a car. I used to like cycle, walk, or take the bus. And I honestly miss that. Like now I have a car. It's too easy. I miss eating shit.
Talking about eating shit, let's take, there's a lot of motivation out there. A lot of people say, get your head straight and you will start losing weight. And all of that is very true. It really gets you in place. Now I'm in place. I want to lose a lot of weight. What's next? What do I eat? What do I drink? What did Sahil eat? What did Sahil drink? What did Sahil leave?
So the first step that I took was I eliminated all kind of processed dessert, chips, pastries, because that's what I used to love, and I replaced everything with whole foods. I didn't count calories initially. I didn't see how much protein I'm getting. The first step was I drank a lot of water, and then I switched out junk crap food with whole foods. That was the first step. And then obviously I used to go to a CrossFit gym. CrossFit is in itself a really intense sport. But I fell in love with it because it was so hard. It mentally used to challenge me. So these two things, where you pick up physical activity and then you just switch out all the junk with whole food. So you go from having French fries to maybe a baked potato. You go from having chicken nuggets from McDonald's to having grilled chicken at home. You go from having risotto from some Italian restaurant to having plain rice at home. So you understand that switch from like crap processed junk to like just simple whole foods. So that's the first step I took. And then I just repeated that for about 2 years. And that in itself, I lost quite a bit of weight. I had to give away a lot of clothes. People were like, okay, I see this guy. Like, you look different. That's great. And after that is, when I started focusing on like, strength and, okay, I need this much protein now. I need protein supplements. I need protein bars. I need all that stuff. Right? So that's the first step I took.
After hearing that, you would almost expect you to open like a protein shop rather than open a water shop.
I always told my friends that I'm someone that maybe before I die, I know that I'll have started a lot of brands in the wellness health fields, and the Hydrobot happens to be the first. And I'm always thinking about what's next, and a protein bar definitely has come to my mind.
So Sahil, you speak about getting or being 130 kilos. Someone doesn't become 130 kilos overnight. What was that? Let's talk about Sahil before you left for the US. What was your initial journey like? Where were you born and brought up? What was the school environment like? And what led you to becoming 130 kilos?
I was born in Calcutta. I went to St. James's School. Um, my dad's a Gujarati, my mom's a Punjabi. And I talk about this a lot, that in a Gujarati household, before you eat food, you eat food. So before you eat food, there's going to be like multiple things in boxes. That's all the junk stuff. So you're already eating food before you're eating food. And I always thought of food as something you eat for taste. You don't eat it for nutrition. You don't eat it for fuel. You eat it for taste. So if something doesn't taste the best, that means it's not good for me. As a baby, I was fed chocolates and Hershey's and all that stuff. So growing up, I had a tendency to eat a lot of chocolate, a lot of dessert, a lot of dairy milk crackle, a lot of chips and Pringles and all the fun stuff. And what had happened was I became chubby cute. Like I had a cute face. And people used to call me, he's a cute chubby kid. And then that sort of became my identity. And then what had happened was I went to boarding school. And you would think that if someone goes to boarding school, he's going to come back in good shape. But the exact opposite happened. We always found our way in boarding school to eat the wrong stuff, to order stuff from outside. And in boarding school was the place where I actually put on the most weight. So that's how I became fat, like really, really fat. I would say from class 7 to class 12, these 5 years. So it was a gradual weight gain. I wasn't into sports, wasn't into being physically active. My idea was having fun, was laying down and watching TV. That was my ideal. That was what I thought was the best thing that I could do. And watch movies, and I knew everything that was happening in Hollywood. I knew everything that was happening in Bollywood. I knew all the actors. I knew all the actresses. And what's funny now is I have no idea. You could tell me who this person is, and I would have no idea. That's the other thing that Jim Rohn taught me. He's like, people major in minor things. So that's something that clicked me. I'm like, holy shit! I was researching everything about the actor, but I wasn't researching anything about myself. So that's when I stopped. No more movies, no more Netflix, no TV, nothing. It's all about me now.
You and I have a very, very similar story. So I was born a fat kid, and then I continued to get fatter. And then people used to love me when I was younger because, I was the fat, cute thing. And, you would cuddle with me. You could pinch the shit out of me. Yeah. And then I went to a boarding school, and we all saw Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, in which, the fat kid goes to boarding school, comes back Hrithik Roshan. So then everybody expected Hrithik Roshan. And I didn't go fatter, to be fair. I lost a lot of weight in Sanar. But once I got back, then you get access to the world, which you had been cut off from. Then I gained a lot of weight, and I became 170 kgs, which, by the way, is huge. I could have eaten you guys up. That's what I look like.
Yeah, 170 kg is you need to stop whatever you're doing and get into some a rehab program where there's
Just for context, when I met Akhil, he was 2.5 times what he is today.
So that's in Purdue, right?
Yeah, that's in Purdue. So anyways, what happens next is my mom sees me and my family is in pain because they see their child is so fat and there might be problems in the future. So she starts taking me to dietitians, and dietitians have this way, okay? They have this way of making your weight fall for the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then because your body adjusts to that calorie level, the weight stops falling. So suddenly the weight stops falling, and then they blame it on you. You must be cheating somewhere, or you are the one at fault, which is not true. So anywho, after that, I gave up on dietitians. I actually fought with one of them when he blamed me. I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. And then something clicks inside, and I'm like, what is happening? A major role of that something was I got my blood tests done, yearly checkups, and my blood tests were all over the place, right? Everything you can think of was off. The white blood cell levels were low and the cholesterol levels were high. Good cholesterol was low, bad cholesterol was very high. Everything was messed up. And my doctor gave me like 15 pills. And she said, you're supposed to take these every day for the rest of your life. And that's how you will sustain these problems. I never took a single one of those pills. Never. I bought all of them for 4 months. 4 months worth of quota because I had to go back to Purdue. Just something clicked and I'm like, this is not happening. This is not my life. I'm not going to wake up, eat a pill, go eat food, then eat a pill, and then, be dependent on these medicines.
That's the thing. So I always explain it to like on my Instagram that the thing with medicines and pharmaceutical drugs is that they have a way of treating the symptoms, but there's no way they're treating the cause of what's causing the symptoms. So like if you have a headache, right, you take a painkiller. Yeah, it's gonna mask the symptoms, which is the headache. But there's something else that's causing the headache. Could be as simple as maybe you're dehydrated. So what happens is you tend to always think of tying your problem to a pill or a medicine. Whereas majority of problems can be fixed or improved just by nutrition, exercise, and just change in lifestyle. So, and I get where you're coming from, and that's one of the reasons why I decided that okay, I do not want to be a doctor anymore, and I want to switch to exercise science. And it was pretty evident at the time that my parents probably won't be happy with me. So I first changed my major, and after I could not change it back anymore is when I told my parents that listen, guys, I'm not going to be a doctor anymore. I switched my majors. My dad was he was cool about it, but my mom wasn't because I was going to be the first doctor in the family. But my mom's mindset has also changed since then because everyone thinks that doctors are like the god. I mean, some doctors are, but this idea of having pills for the rest of your life just doesn't sit well with me. And like I said before, like I didn't want to prevent deaths, but I wanted to prevent people from entering the hospital in the first place. So that was the main reason why I switched. So I get where you're coming from, man. But 170 kgs is that's what I was trying to say is like, your blood tests are going to be all over the place, and it's like you probably have to quit whatever you're doing and focus on just losing all that weight. So congrats. That's a lot.
Congrats to you too. I think Vishrut is feeling like the one that's left out because he's always been a fit young chap.
I've had the opposite problem. I have always been underweight. I have always been that thin, lanky kid. I mean, till COVID hit in 2020, I was fitting into clothes which I had worn in 2011.
Oh my God.
So did I. After my weight loss, I also started fitting into clothes that used to fit me in 2011.
So you have a problem in gaining weight?
I don't think I have a problem. I wouldn't say it's a problem. I think it's something I never did. And because I was the complete opposite of what you said. I was a very active kid, and because of my family, because of my parents and everything, there was always some activity or the other. Like I had this ritual with my dad with every weekend that whenever he was home, we would go to the club or we would go down and play some sport or the other. And I grew up in a building, so there were always kids downstairs, and we were always like every evening at 4:30, we were downstairs playing something or the other. So it was just a part of growing up. And then I went to boarding school as well. And
all three of us have gone to boarding.
Yeah, we were all boarding school kids. So we had this thing where after dinner, we used to play football for an hour and a half every single day. So yeah, and it was just a thing. And that was the life. And we used to play football, we used to play ultimate frisbee, we used to play cricket, we used to play like any sport we could get our hands on, we were playing. And then in addition to that, obviously sports with school and this, that, and the other extracurriculars. So I was always that really thin, lanky kid. I went to boarding school and I became thinner and lankier. So that was just the way it was. And then I guess as time went on, I was like, look, I think I need to start working out and, doing things to increase that body weight. And so I got into it in a very, very casual way. I don't claim to do any research. Or I haven't done much research into the whole thing of how I should go about it. And I should probably start doing that. But it's always like now, as time has gone by, it's always been like, yeah, go to the gym, work out, understand. Like Akhil and I often have this conversation, and like he keeps sending me books and all, and he's like, yeah, dude, read this. So I'm reading things slowly and understanding, okay, this is what I need to do to build up my level of muscle, and this is the kind of things I need to eat. And I was one of those who could eat anything and everything at any given point in time because I never had a problem of gaining weight.
So Akhil, what did you do? Like, did you start exercising? You fixed your diet?
Yeah, I'll tell you the funniest story. So what happened was that we have a friend, his name is Vidit. It's a shout out to Vidit on our episode. He watches all of our episodes. So this fellow, he has his birthday, and hopefully his parents are not watching, but him and another friend of mine, they go to a strip club, right, to celebrate his birthday. After that, they come back from the strip club with like a random dude who's like hammered, right, completely out of his mind, and he sees me and he's like, "You're just fat. You're not strong. You're just fat." I was like, "Okay, man, this is fine by me." And he's like, no, I want to arm wrestle you. I was like, okay, well, let's arm wrestle. And he was pretty built. And then he lost in the arm wrestle to me. And then he was like, wow, you are so strong. You can become like the mountain, man. Have you seen Game of Thrones? I was like, yeah, I have seen Game of Thrones. He's like, bro, you need to Google this thing, okay? Just write this shit down. Write down keto. Just write it down. And at that point, keto was not a thing. It was just not at all non-existent in the world, right? And this is like 2015, 2017, maybe 16, 17, sometime there. And we had just come back from our summer break. So it was September and we were just sitting there. This hammered dude tells me to write a note, forces me to write keto in my thing. He's like, bro, you don't have to do anything. You have to eat. And you'll just keep eating. And I searched, can you eat butter chicken in keto? Answer was yes. Okay. Then they're like, can you eat wings? Answer was yes. I love these things, right? Wings, butter chicken. I love chickens. I was like, let's do it. So I started the whole keto thing. And then I was dropping like 5-10 kilos in a week. It was some madness was happening.
Yep. If someone came up to me and they said that I want to lose 5 kgs in 3 weeks, I have my marriage, and they point a gun at me, I'm like, all right, are you ready to leave carbs for the next 3 weeks?
Pretty much. And now the problem with keto is people don't stick, right? You start getting the real hunger pangs of you really want to eat chips or you want to eat some kind of carbs. But my friends were assholes, right? So what they would do is, there was this place in Purdue called Fiesta. They have the maddest burrito bowl ever. Like, it's so delicious, crazy. They would get 2 of them and they would keep them in front of my face. And then they would eat in front of my face. It was Vidit and it was Samarth, another one of our friends, right? And these guys would just eat. And the smell would fill up the whole house, right? And I was craving it like a cocaine addict. I wanted rice. And I let go. And it just broke. The whole concept of flavors and food, all of it just crashed and burned. And I continued with keto for like 2 years. Then there are other problems that happen with keto when you do it for a longer time. Then I had to come back to India, where it's horrible to do keto in India. Like, it's a very bad idea. The food in India is...
It's really challenging, yep.
Yeah, it's not very keto friendly. Then I started studying more. I started studying health sciences, even though I don't have a major like you do. Started studying the effect of insulin, how our body works, how our systems work, how we digest, build muscle. Then I started lifting. So I actually went down quite a bit, and then I realized I have lost all the muscle. So I had to gain the muscle back and started lifting really heavy.
So that's all you did? You just want keto? You weren't running or training or anything? You were just like, all right.
Just keto. I was just eating. And there's this place in the US called Panda Express, where they have orange chicken, they have a couple of different kinds of meat, and I would just go get like a 3-side thing in which they would just give me meat. and the nice lady there, she actually recognized my face. And I would go there every day. Like my afternoon would be Panda Express, right? And she would just make the bowl for me without even asking me what I'm gonna have and just give me the bowl. Then somewhere in the route, I found intermittent fasting, and that has been like the best thing to happen to my life. Intermittent fasting. Now I eat once a day. It's been 3 years. I've been eating once a day. So they call it OMAD, 1 meal a day thing. And I think I'll be continuing it for the rest of my life. I have lost my love for food. All I do is eat whatever is in front of me. I just count the whole, okay, I'm consuming 100 grams of protein. That's good. And the rest of it is fine. My calories are below this. If you see my food now, you will like, it's not even appetizing to look at. I just put like a bunch of shit in a bowl and just consume it. I don't really care anymore.
But it's just that you're eating once a day.
Yeah, once a day. Full meal. It's a 2,500 calorie meal. It's once a day.
Even I had tried that. I've tried everything mostly. But the diet that works out really well with me is that I'm fasting. So about 16 hours with general. And then a mixture of fish and vegetarian stuff. And I have a lot of smoothies. I have one smoothie per day. I've been fasting since I think 5 years now. I just stuck with me and suits my lifestyle a lot, because what I do is then in the morning I get all the important work done, which I have to use my head for. And then around 2 p.m. is when I eat. And then all the other stuff, boring stuff where I have to use my hands, where I don't have to use my mind a lot, I do that. So, I've tried OMAD, definitely. What I felt the challenge was, eating all that food, and it became like a task. Like, oh, now I have to spend the next 1 hour eating. And I used to have like a smoothie, like 3-4 meals. So it wasn't like one big Panda Express, 3,000 calories. It was a smoothie, it was a salad, and then it was like a dinner. So I would like have all three different meals. It was good. It saved me a lot of time, definitely.
Yeah, it's like running. Let's say you wanna run a marathon, right? Let's say you wanna run 25 kilometers in one race. You will not be able to run it today. Die at 100 meters. Next day you die at 120 meters. Next day you'll die at 200 meters. You'll keep going day by day, day by day, day by day. You keep compounding. And compounding is a very hot topic on our podcast. It comes up almost every episode. And it is in every aspect of life. So you start with keto, or you start with the mindset of I want to diet first. And then you keep going, learn the next thing, and eventually you figure out a way, and then you keep going.
Vishrut, what kind of diet are you into? What are you eating?
I'm eating everything, bro. My one target, because I also started lifting, so my one target was I have to get 75 grams of protein a day at a minimum, because I weigh 70 kilos, and I was like, I have to, like, my target is 75, so I can get to at least 65, 70, because my family is vegetarian. My protein is limited to milk and eggs.
What's your take on protein supplements? Because I have the perfect hack for you, and I give it to all my vegetarian clients.
Please do, man. I have taken some protein supplements I've taken some whey when I was in college and working out, and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So I don't know how much effect that had. Currently, I take this thing called casein, which is unflavored, and it's like pretty raw and straight up. So I mix a scoop of that in a glass of milk, and I have that.
Okay, I'm going to make your life really better. 4 eggs plus 2 scoops of protein is 75 grams of protein. So there you go. You have the amount of protein that you will need minimum. And then whatever else you're eating besides that will have some protein. Like if you have 3 rotis, that has 12 grams of protein. If you have like a bowl of dal, that'll have 7-8 grams of protein. So whatever you eat besides 4 eggs and 2 scoops of protein will get you at least 100 grams or maybe more.
And what kind of protein do you recommend?
So I've recommended to all my clients, I've recommended to my entire family. It's called 'Cosmix plant protein. 'Cosmix. It has only 4 ingredients. It has a pea protein mixture, a brown rice mixture. It has the flavor. So, and the flavorings are like, let's say I have vanilla. So the flavoring that they put is like the Kerala vanilla bean. And to add sweetener to it, they have monk fruit. And I tried it. I tried 5 scoops in a day just to see how it affects me, and I was fine the next day. So 2 scoops of this plus 4 eggs is going to fetch you 75 grams.
Lovely. I am definitely going to give that a try.
Definitely do it. And then whatever else you're eating, I'm assuming will have protein like your dal, rice, dahi, paneer. So you'll get at least minimum 100 grams, definitely.
Awesome. So I'm definitely going to try this. I think it's something that I have really been looking into and trying to understand. And I wanted to do it as much as I can without supplements, but why not? I think if this is giving me the base level, we can see how much more I end up getting and then regulate based on that. But anyway, let's move back to Hydrobot. We have barely touched that topic. So you said you joined your brother and you started selling on WhatsApp. And I love how WhatsApp was used as a traditional method of selling rather than the digital new age method of selling.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. I thank my dad for that, because so my dad has, like a traditional old business. He doesn't care. He doesn't understand Instagram and Instagram ads and, website and all that. So that's what my brother and I were like, oh, bro, now we have to take photos and hire someone and blah, 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 and make a website. Then we'll start selling. And my dad's like, listen, guys, you have the product in your hand, send the picture and start selling. Like, let's see what happens. And then, that's exactly like literally so this table that you're seeing, you see this white table. I had the Hydrobot like this on the table. I had this silicone boot removed. I had the lid removed, and it became like a set. Like, you have the Hydrobot, you have 2 lids, and you have this silicone boot. So I separated everything and placed it, took a picture from above for every color and every size, and I just like blasted it over WhatsApp. And the funny thing is, like, what I realized that, when you make a brand, you make this noise and like, you're like, oh, launching soon and like blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, we didn't do any of that. None of my friends knew what Hydrobot is. It was just like one random day I sent a picture and I'm like, guys, I've started this water bottle brand. Please check it out. And that's how we started.
That is so similar to how we started, because we literally did that. We spoke for 3 months. We were like, okay, we need a camera, we need a microphone, we need a tripod, we need to understand a script, we need to learn, we need to read. One fine day, we were like, you know what? Let's just start. And this is 5th of December. ChatGPT had come out 1 week back. And we were like, chalo, 7th of December, we are going to record on ChatGPT. 2 days, read as much as you can, do as much as you can, and let's go for it. And that's how we started. 7th of December, we sat and we recorded.
Here we are, 7 months later.
Forget 7 months later, dude. 1 week later, we had an episode out and everyone was like, wait, what? Where did this come from? When did you decide to start this?
Exactly.
We had no Instagram channel. We had no YouTube channel. We had no domain. We had no email. We had nothing. We were like, okay, you know what? We're going to get on a Zoom call. We're going to get on a Google Meet, whichever one of the two we prefer. And I found this microphone lying around because I sing. So I had a microphone lying around. I literally placed the microphone in front of me on the table. I didn't have any mic stand. I didn't have this pop filter. I had nothing. I put a tissue paper around the microphone. Akhil was on his phone and we just started.
I love it, guys. I love it.
So your story really reminds us of that. And that's what I was saying. And like I was trying to be sarcastic in being like, I love how we call WhatsApp old school nowadays. Even though like WhatsApp is not anything close to old school, but I guess it's the closest we can get to old school in today's day and age. But yeah, I mean, kudos to you all for doing that. This is how you started. What has the journey been like? You said you started in December 2022?
December 6th, 17th is when I sent my WhatsApp.
I think we started, 2 days apart, Akhil?
Yeah, pretty much. Somewhere there.
I think we started on the 15th of December, if I'm not mistaken, is when we put out our first episode. So yeah, how has the journey been from 17th of December to 25th of July today?
Oh man, it's been really good. I'm grateful for that. And it's just that I've realized now that no matter what you do, there are a lot of other people who are in it with you, and it's also their actions and their deeds that help your brand grow. It's not just me and my brother, it's a whole lot of other different people as well. My parents, my family, my cousins, um, my delivery partner. So I would like to be grateful for all of them, definitely. Um, Secondly, are the customers, man. They've been really great. They have been our marketing. They have been our word of mouth. So I would like to thank every one of them. Hopefully, sometime in the future they see this. Um, but it's been pretty good, man. Like I used to read a lot of books. I still do, and I used to read books that were not related to what I was doing. Like this, I'm sure you guys have read or heard Lean Startup by Eric Ries. I had no business reading it. I was studying exercise science, trying to graduate, but I still read it because I loved reading. And it's all coming back to me now. Like I used to read a lot of business books. You know how businesses work, how websites work, and so it's all coming back now. Um, so we had initially started this as a science uh, hypothesis, is where I said that listen, Ryle, people are not drinking enough water because they don't have a good enough water bottle with them. And if they do have a good enough water bottle, their water consumption will 100% increase. So that's what was our MVP, like this normal bottle. And the validation that we were looking for from people was like, not that, oh, I love the bottle, it keeps my water cold. We were looking for these words that, guys, my water consumption has increased. That's what we wanted to hear. We didn't really want to hear that, wow, the bottle looks great and like, the color is so good. That's fine, that's there. But what we wanted to hear was, Sahil, thank you, because of the Hydrobot, my water level my water consumption has increased. And that's exactly what happened. And that's when I told my brother that, listen, bro, we have something good going on right now with Hydrobot. So let's keep going. And initially, we did have a lot of complaints. So when I say a lot of complaints is that we give a sipper with a Hydrobot and a spout. So you have a choice. So this right here, it's a sipper. And also you have a spout. So one day I get a call from my close friend who is like, Sahil, I've been using it for 2-3 days, but it's all great. But what happens is sometimes when I open it, it starts to leak. Like water trickles down almost. I'm like, So I go and I text other customers who took a spout, and I'm like, guys, is your spout leaking? So they're like, no. So then my brother and I realized that, okay, this is like, some are good, some are bad. So I collected the spout from my best friend, and I brought it home, and my brother and I were looking at it. And on one hand, I had a spout that was working well, and on the other hand, I had a spout that was leaking, and they were both identical. You couldn't tell that why the hell is this leaking and why is this not leaking. And we spent an entire day trying to figure it out. Um, and then that's when my brother started playing with it, and he realized that um, the one that was leaking in the stop, in like the cap, you know how they have these silicone holders, right? Bottles. So that was turned upside down. So he removed it and he put it upside down, and then he like saw if it's leaking, and then it stopped leaking. So that was like one big hiccup for us when I look back, we were like, holy shit, we don't want a bottle that's leaking because that defeats the purpose. No one wants a leaking water bottle. So that was one big hiccup that we figured out, thankfully. Um, and then besides that, it's been like iteration after iteration. Like, we added the option of giving stickers, and then this was a pretty big hit of engraving your name, because almost 90% of the people who buy want their names engraved. Um, and now people are like, well, what's next? When is the app coming? Like, when are you going to start selling accessories? And one big thing that has happened is, and that I was really thoughtful about, was every time I'm talking to someone, I never used to mention the word bottle. I always used to say, okay, your Hydrobot is packaged. Your Hydrobot is coming. Your Hydrobot is on its way. Hope your Hydrobot is doing good. Hope you're enjoying your Hydrobot. So what's happened is now people don't refer to this as a water bottle. They're like, okay, pass me my Hydrobot. Man, I forgot my Hydrobot. So Hydrobot's become like a meme, which means something, which I feel is pretty cool. I think something like this takes a long time for any brand or company for it to happen, but thankfully it's happened pretty quick, I would say.
So your focus is on increasing the water consumption of people, right? What does that do for me? Why is water consumption so important? Like, I hear it all the time. You should consume this much water. You should consume this much water. Why do I care?
So our bodies are made up of all different kinds of cells, and the way these cells communicate with each other is through plasma membrane, which is basically water. And when water is less in the body, think of it like these cells are confused, like they can't communicate with each other. That's when there's confused messaging going on in the body. The body is thinking that, am I hungry or am I thirsty? So you, Akhil, you might be feeling hungry, but what's actually happening is you need water. Your cells are craving for water. Your body is craving for water. And that's basically it, is why we need water. And you'll see that, even I've seen that with all my clients, is almost 90% of them are not hydrating themselves properly. And it's because they don't have a water bottle that they carry themselves. It's always like, oh, there's a cooler here, I'll drink some. Oh, I'll buy one, like a small plastic Kinley or something. So headaches, confusion, suddenly you just have brain fog. A lot of the times it's because you are dehydrated. So that's the reason why I hammer so hard on water.
According to you, what's an ideal amount of water to drink per day per person?
So let's say the person is really active, like me, like Vishrut, you, maybe Akhil, if you're active, I would say a good amount is 3 liters. Like, dude, if you're playing 18 holes of golf, in this heat, your body has lost quite a bit of water through sweat, and it's lost quite a bit of minerals. So right after your game of golf, you'll notice that even if you drank a liter of water, you're still not like back to normal. You're like, but dude, I drank 1 liter, but yeah, 1 liter is not enough. 4 hours of golf is a lot for someone who's that active. I mean, I have sometimes 4 if I'm like, really active that day, but a good, if generally 2.5, but most people don't even get a liter of water.
Dude, I think for me, this whole point of water and I think has been driven home to such a large extent that it's always been a staple. I think if you're talking about an 18-hole round of golf, I think 1.5 liters of water is consumed through the round only, not just after the round or anything like that. And a lot of the times I end up drinking a lot of the ORS and salts and stuff like that, because that's also, as you said, we're losing a lot of minerals as well. So I think my target is usually crossing that 3 liter barrier every day. And I think I end up crossing it maybe 4 days or 5 days in the week. I don't think I end up doing it every single day. But yeah, I think that 3 liter mark is what even I have been given and what I've been told.
Yep, exactly. Especially when you wake up, like if you're going for a cup of coffee as soon as you wake up, that's like a big mistake. because at night is when water gets used up quite a bit for whatever is happening to your body at night, the rest and recovery. So when you wake up, you'll realize that when you go to urinate, it's not like the brightest white. It's kind of pale yellowish because your body has lost quite a bit of water. So I know a lot of people don't even have this habit of drinking water as soon as they wake up. They are straight either coffee or they're looking at their phone. Um, so that's the other thing I always talk to my clients about is what do you do when you wake up in the morning? I want to know that. So I always, ask them to have at least a glass of water. Like I'm not asking you to chug 1 liter because that's not doable for someone as soon as they wake up, but at least, 400 ml. It's a good place to start. So if this Hydrobot is there next to you on your bedside, it helps. That's what people they say that it's always on my bedside.
I've seen the next generation kids are very specific about their bottles. Yeah, there are 4 at my place. My sister has 2 boys and my brother has 2 boys. All of them have their own personal bottles. Each one has their own color, which is specified. Engraved name would be awesome. I think they really get a sense of belonging when the name is engraved. And when they want to drink water, they generally call out for their bottle more than they call out for a glass, which has become a very happening trend now.
So yeah, a lot. So every 2-3 weeks, I had this habit of messaging customers, random customers, like, "Hey guys, what's going on? How's it going?" And then a lot of time, well, I do it for 2 reasons. One is social proof that I can post it on Instagram, and the other one is like I genuinely want to know that what's happening. And a lot of them say that I've stopped drinking from a glass because I'm so hooked to a Hydrobot. And I get that because I myself don't drink from a glass ever, at least in my house. And I end up carrying this literally everywhere I go. Um, so I know what you're talking about when it comes to your nieces and nephews.
So, Sahil, I'm sold. I think I want to learn from you more about my health. And I think I want to get myself a Hydrobot. How do I reach you? How do I find you for your services and for your product?
So if you want to find me from my services, I have my Instagram vitamin underscore SAH SA. And then for Hydrobot, we have a website. If you are patient enough to use the website, and if you're not lazy enough to punch in your credit card details, you can order it through the website, or you can DM us at Hydrobot India, because that's the funny thing is we sold all our Hydrobots through DM. And then when we sold about 100, I was talking to my brother and I'm like, you know what, Rahil, there's no point making a website. And he's like, why? And I told him that, you know how easy it is for someone to order through just sending us one message? I'm like, that makes sense, because everyone who sends us an order through DM just tells us their color, the size, and then their address. Versus when you go on a website, it's like you have to, it loads, and then the checkout pages, you put your address, then it opens up in another page. And that's exactly what happened. Like, we launched our website and someone wanted a Hydrobot, and we were like, please, bro, like, I'll give you a discount. I offered them a discount. I'm like, I'll give you a discount if you go to the website and order it, because I wanted to know if everything was smooth. Feel like, well, dude, like I am feeling really lazy to punch in my credit card details. So please, like, just take it through DMs. I'm like, cool. And that's exactly what happened. People are lazy. People want things fast. So,
How does payment work through DM?
oh, we send them a bill, so which has all like the GPay and all that stuff. So that again, because on GPay you just have to scan it, right? You don't have to punch in your credit card. And as of now, RBI is not allowing like new brands to get onboarded for GPay and all these UPI payments. I don't know why.
That's very interesting. I mean, I have seen like, Razorpay and things like that are very, very good with.
Yeah, so exactly. So that's what. So the RBI isn't allowing aggregators like Razorpay and Cred to onboard new clients. Like let's say you started your brand 2 years ago and you had GPay, that's fine. But now they aren't allowing. For some, they're like, yeah, man, like allowing as in they're like, oh, we are talking with RBI and there are some new policies. We're just seeing things. We'll keep you updated.
So the only way someone can buy off of your website is through a credit card.
Yeah, credit or debit card.
And when you're sending them an invoice, how are they managing? Because you're sending your company's GPay account, or how is that working? What's the
Company's GPay account with a QR code. So they just scan it or they just send it on the company's mobile number.
That's very interesting. I'm sure I'm sure there has to be some ways around it, because this just does not sound right. And after everything I've been reading about, India being the leader in digital payments, and my grandfather came up to me this morning and he was like, "Oh, Vishrut, I've seen this video where this person is saying India is 10 years ahead of the US." And I was like, "Hello, listen, think about why this is the case. India needs it today because of all XYZ reasons. The US has payments in the form of credit and debit card, and they've made that so convenient that they don't need to go this way." So there is a lot to, but it's amazing that this is the case with new companies, and I did not know that Razorpay and aggregators are onboarding. That's really, really interesting.
So initially I thought it was like a company thing where like that company is, I don't know. I'm like, bro, let me just try another one. I tried the other one and they said the same thing. They're like, dude, we can't onboard you right now because of the RBI, blah, blah, blah. And that's the reason why we weren't launching our website, because I'm like, dude, no one will buy if there's no UPI payment available, because it's so easy with UPI and GPay. And then at the end, I'm like, dude, how much longer will we wait? Might as well just launch the website.
Are you comfortable talking about numbers with us, Sahil?
Yeah, definitely, of course. So we sold, as of today, we've sold 454 Hydrobots. Our revenue is around 9 lakh something, 87,000 something, and there's about 40 to 45% profit. And I'm saying 40 to 45 because we changed our prices. We changed the price of the Hydrobot.
What does a Hydrobot cost?
So the 1 liter costs 24.99. Along with that, you get this silicone boot. So this design was inspired by Steve Jobs, because not this design, but the idea of making your product perfect. Because I had read in one book, Bob Iger's book, Disney book, that Steve Jobs was so, how in the in these MacBooks this thing is not there, but in the old MacBooks you had that charger which was magnetic. I don't know if you guys know that or remember. Yep. So yep. So he was so addicted to that noise that he would spend hours like putting his ears, and then so that noise, that click, he really loved that noise. Like, and in the book it said that he would like spend hours just connecting, listening to the noise, and then removing it. So I'm like, so much thought went into like that entire thing. So I was like, this, I don't like this noise. Like, I'm like, if someone buys this, let's say if it's a husband and like, he comes in and the wife is sleeping and he puts his down, the wife is going to wake up. And we're like, yeah, or it can be like anyone, like the girlfriend waking up the boyfriend or whoever. It's just that this noise shouldn't be there. So that's why this comes with it. You see, it's noise proof, doesn't make any noise. Along with that, you get two lids. One is this normal wide mouth lid, and then you have an option to choose a sipper or a spout. So that's 2,500, and then if you want to engrave your Hydrobot, that's 150 extra.
Can you just lift up the bottle and show the engraving once again?
Oh, yep. So this is 150 extra, the engraving. We played around a lot with stickers and all that. It's like some people want it, some people don't. So we're just figuring out how to implement that on the website. Because we can't be on DMs the whole day. We have three sizes. This is the 700 ml. This is the 1 liter. And then we have a 500 ml. I don't have that because I think we sold out on all of those. But yeah, the price used to be a lot less, but now we've increased it. So that was also like a moment for us. Because obviously my dad and my brother was like 1900 rupees for a bottle. I'm like, well, trust me, it's worth it. It's worth more than that, because you are not buying a bottle of water, you're buying hydration, you're buying focus, you're buying health, which to a lot of people is worth lakhs, maybe more. So that's how I try to explain it to people. Is like, it is expensive, but look at the worth of it. Don't look at the price tag. Um, we have thankfully, we have been profitable since day one. And that's, I would like to say this to all founders, is that, um, I have a degree in exercise science. I should be having no business trying to create a website, learn Instagram, learn sales. But I learned all of that thanks to some life experiences in US. But that's one of the main reasons why we have been profitable, is because we have no marketing Instagram agencies. We don't have any overhead costs. And I feel like every founder should learn something besides starting a startup. And I would say like skills such as sales, understanding how sales work, how to build a basic Instagram, how to create some content. And like you said, it's like you have to wear all hats in the beginning. You have to. Otherwise, it's so hard to be profitable.
Let's talk about all hats then. Let's talk about all hats and let's talk about overheads, two of the words that you've said.
Yep. So all hats is basically where you're doing everything. It's like we are in that scrappy hustle zone where we are taking orders, we are packaging it. My brother and I are delivering it. We are doing all the accounting. We are doing all the addition, all the subtraction, all the cleaning, everything. Um, I used to in America. I used to have a sales job where I would door to door knock on doors in neighborhoods and sell AT&T AT&T services. So I learned a lot about sales psychology, and that's what we implemented in our DMs, is how to sell through DMs and understand sales psychology and how the whole process works. When I was in US, I was really ambitious. So I started an e-commerce website where I would sell dog products. So that's how I learned ads. That's how I learned website making and how to build a website. And then thankfully, because of my work, I had learned how Instagram works. So all those hats are owned by me, and we save on a lot of costs. The website was made by me, just me. I handle all the Instagram content. I edit all the Instagram content, and I shoot all Instagram content. We do all the packaging, the cleaning. I know it's really sucky, but it's what we have to do. And thankful, and I'm so grateful that I learned all of that from my weight loss journey. Is like, eat shit, keep eating shit. It'll be worth it at the end. So I always tell my brother, like, trust me, this is the fun part. When it gets easy is when it gets really boring. I'm gonna miss this, because right now is like the hard part, like, the eat shit, and like you're doing everything. And like, let's say Hydrobot becomes really big, and then I'm just one person making one big decision. That's where I know, as who I am, is I'm gonna get really bored. I'm gonna miss this.
I tell you one thing, one sec. I'm just going to interrupt you here. This founder Kida, I tell you, these guys, I think founders in general, we found so many commonalities, and there's one more right here. How many people, like, people in their lives strive to be like, I want to get to a point where I'm stable, where I don't have to do too much. And here we have founders being like, oh, this is the fun part. When we get big, things get too easy, things get boring.
Definitely. So like I initially told you, right? Like, now I have a car, and like I have multiple cars. I can choose which car will I take to the gym. Like, it's boring for me. Versus back then, I had a rusty cycle, and like it was snowing, it was raining, and I used to like put my jacket over and like go through. That was what was exciting and really thrilling for me. So it's the same thing now. Is like, this is really fun for me, and I'm gonna miss this.
How do we make Hydrobot big? How do we get it to that point?
So I always viewed it as, our first 6 months were pretty good, successful. We were able to sell, we have sold almost 2 bottles per day every day since the past 4-5 months somehow. Like if you average it out, 2 hydrobots per day. So I always think of like, when I come back to this story, now we are entering a different phase, the phase of running ads, the phase of putting in some money for, let's say influencer marketing. And we haven't started that yet, but we will. So that's the next step we are looking at, is how to get 10, 15, 20, 30 orders per day through ads. Secondly, get into like face to face, like, those expos and all that, like, what do you call them? Retail shows, or like, what do you call them? You know what I'm talking about? Exhibitions, correct. Yep, exhibition. Start selling to people face to face, just turn up to a school and go with a couple of hydrobots and, try to sell to people, because selling online is easy, but selling face to face is a different challenge, and you learn a lot by selling face to face than you try to sell online. Selling online is easier, it's way more comfortable, it's way more scalable. But I think there are a lot of lessons in selling face to face. Just showing up at a school, or just show up anywhere, put up a stand or something, and try to convince people right there. That's what I love, because that's what I did. Was convincing people to buy AT&T Wi-Fi services. So like I said, like selling online is kind of boring. It's easy and scalable, but very profitable. Doesn't take much time, but it's kind of boring. But those are the next steps, yes. Taking a little bit more risks, because we've been really conservative. Because the idea of being profitable has been stuck in our head since day one. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, definitely taking more risks, because we've been really like afraid of, okay, let's give this big influencer like a Hydrobot or like stuff like that. So I would say, take more risks financially. And then it's pretty simple to me. I just want to see a Hydrobot in every person's hand. That's how, that's my definition of being big. But how is the thing that we keep figuring out every day.
So, Sahil, how long does a Hydrobot last, or how long do you claim for it to last?
Your whole lives. So I, being a science background, I wasn't convinced by our manufacturers when they said that the water will stay cold for the whole day. So what I did was I went and bought a thermometer that checks water temperature, and I put like ice cold water, so 0 degrees, almost -1, water, and I put the Hydrobot in the sun for like 4-5 hours. So if a normal person went and drank the water before, after, they won't find much difference in it. And I checked the temperature after 5 hours of being in peak Calcutta sun on my terrace. The temperature increased from -1 to just 2 degrees. So it increased by 3 degrees, which is a very normal thing I try to explain to people. Like, water can't hold a temperature like forever. It will either increase or decrease. But subjectively, when you drink it, you will feel that the temperature stays the same. And then I did the same thing with, so I took like extremely hot boiling water. I put it in the freezer. Obviously, I didn't try it, but I put my finger in. It was pretty hot, but the temperature did increase by 3-4 degrees. Sorry, decrease. Yep. And then the other thing is what I try and tell my brother, and we try discuss here, is how do we differentiate amongst other bottle brands. And this is one thing I definitely, we don't look at competition. It's again something I picked up from Steve Jobs and Apple, is like they don't look at competition, they look at how they can be the best, and they spend all their time on customers instead of competitors. So I was like, we are not going to cheap out and cut our prices to enter the market. We are going to enter the market in our way. And the way we do that is through, you create a stir, we throw the Hydrobot from the terrace, and I took my car over it to see how good it actually is. And the car stopped, like the car couldn't go over it, but like obviously the paint and all got scratched, but um it was still usable, but it did get ugly, which obviously will happen. But like durability, I can guarantee and tell you that it's the best thermos in India right now.
I'm going to use this moment to do some shameless publishing, some shameless marketing for ourselves. What you said about Apple is something that we have spoken about when we spoke about Simon Sinek, because he uses this example a lot when he speaks about, he compares the Microsoft Zune and the Apple iPod Touch. And he speaks about the attitude that Apple has towards competition. He speaks about this thing called the infinite game. And I love that you are talking about it, and it's amazing to see someone actually implementing it.
Oh yeah. So like that's the thing. Is like I feel people read books, people read a lot of books, but very few people implement what they read. So I'm going to do a point in life where like I've stopped reading new books, but I go back to old books that really hit me. So I keep rereading them a lot. And that's the thing. Like I feel like people need something also to implement what they've learned from those books. And I'm really glad that I have this Hydrobot to implement it on. So that's the other thing. And then the other thing I would like to say is that people like, I don't want to say people, I want to say founders, because this is what it's about. I feel like founders should be absolutely obsessed to the point where like people start calling them crazy, or like, he's an idiot. That's when, you truly start making some noise, or you actually believe in what you're trying to sell. And we don't claim to be an innovator. We don't claim to be like disrupting technology. We just claim to do something in a much better way, which is giving someone a water bottle.
So, Sahil, on our podcast, we have a tradition. We have a question for you that has been left by our previous guest. So, we would require you to answer that question. And we also would like you to ask a question for our next guest. So, the question for you is, what is the role of sports in relation to entrepreneurship?
You don't know if you're going to win till the last minute. So just keep playing.